Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us and checking out what's going on here at Journey Church. We're so excited that you've taken some time out of your day to tune in and to celebrate with us. As we're waiting for the message this morning, I want to inform you on some things that maybe you're not aware of that we think are exciting. If you are looking for ways to get connected and some more information on Journey Church and just staying up to date on a regular basis, one of the cool things that we have that maybe not so many know about is an app. And if you want to download that app, you can simply go to the App Store on your phone, whether you're an Apple phone or any other type of phone. You can go to the App Store and type in Journey Church of Lexington, and you'll be able to pull up our app and download it. And that's a great way to stay connected. Just make sure that when you sign in and you log into that app for the very first time to choose to accept the push notifications, because that's the way that you'll be informed on a weekly basis. And we promise not to bug you too much, but hopefully it's a great tool for you to stay connected. Also in the app, you can watch our messages, you can watch previous messages, you can tune into our kids programs if your kids have missed them, and so much more. So check it out. Also, if you're interested in giving to Journey Church, there's multiple ways that you can do that. The simplest way to do that probably is to go to our website, thejourney.church, which you can also watch our messages from there. Other ways that you can give, you can go the old-fashioned way. If you like to write checks, you can write a check to 61 Beesicker Road, Lexington, NC 27295, and that's actually the address of the church, so we'll be able to receive your offering that way. If you also want to use your phone and you're out and about and you want to give, you can simply go to your text messages, type in the number 77977, and in the message box put Journey Church Lex, JOURNEYCHURCHLEX. Submit that and you'll get a link that'll direct you right to our page where you can give. So some exciting ways to be able to do that. We're so excited again that you've chosen to join us, and we hope you enjoy. Thank you.
Tammy. I have the privilege of serving with our kids program here at Journey Church. I just want to invite your families to join us on Sunday mornings in person at 9 or 11. We do offer programs for kids 15 months through 8th grade, and each class is designed specifically for their grade level or age level. If you're unable to make it on Sunday mornings in person, we also offer our programs online for preschool and our elementary kids beginning at 8 o'clock each Sunday morning. In addition to that, on our website, we also have activities that you can do at home to continue the conversation with their Bible story. We have a prayer for you to do with your kids. You can do an activity with your kids. But our goal is to come alongside you parents and help you disciple your kids at home. So we'd love for you to join us with J Kids on Sunday mornings.
Hi, I'm Mac. I'm one of the youth here at Journey Church. I'm just excited to tell you about Reach, which is our event for middle schoolers and high schoolers on Tuesdays nights from 6:30 to 8. We have games, we have messages, we have food. It's a lot of fun. Invite some friends, and I hope to see you there.
Good morning, Journey Church. Let's stand and worship Jesus together.
Our God who comes to save. of silence till time has been removed. You are my sanctuary, my upper room, so I'll linger here with you. My dwelling place where I am safe, my refuge from the storm. Open my heart to hear your heart, to love you more and more. Oh, I won't move. I'll linger here with you. Keep me present in this moment, 'cause there's more you want to do. You are my sanctuary, my upper room, so I'll linger here with you. My dwelling place where I am safe, my refuge from the storm. Open my heart to hear your heart, to love you more and more. My dwelling place where I God, thank you so much for your presence. Thank you that you meet us here when we ask you to, that you are everything to us, Father. Thank you for giving us your presence when we don't deserve it. We've done nothing to earn it, God, but you give it freely and you give it willingly. So, Lord, I just pray that today that you would meet us here, that you would open our hearts to hear what you have to say to us, that you'll be with Mark as he brings the message, that you would give him the words to say, to speak to us the way that you want him to, that you want to speak to us, God, that you would give him the right words in the right moment, at the right time to speak to us, and that your spirit would move here in this place today, that we would be open to it, and that we would be willing to let go of anything that may be a hindrance to us, God. If there's any anxiety, if there's any fear, if there's any anger or bitterness, God, anything that may be halting us from fully immersing ourselves in your presence, God, I just pray that that would fall by the wayside right now. And I just pray that your spirit would fill this place, that you would help us to be willing to step up and be the people that you've called us to be and do what you've called us to do, Lord. Lord, if there's anyone here that doesn't know you as their personal Lord and Savior, God, I just pray that today would be that day for salvation, that you would open their hearts to you and that they would draw near to you and accept you and that their lives would be changed. God, I pray that none of us would be able to walk out the doors as the same person that we walked in. I pray that everything we do in this building, from the parking lot to the stage, would glorify you. Be with us today. Open our hearts. Change our lives. For it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. That was good praying. Thank you, Julie. How's everybody? Yeah, 2 of you are good. That's okay. Some of you are asleep. Breakfast filled you up. Breakfast okay? Yeah, that got you moving a little bit. So, yeah, it's a good day. Thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all so much for being here. If you're watching online, thank you for joining us, being part of Journey Church. We love you guys. Thank you for tuning in and making this part of your day. That is so awesome, and we're glad to have you. But I'm glad to have you guys as well. We had a little fun in the first service. Hope we do the same. Half left mad, half left okay. So we're all right. We about right. So gonna have some fun. Little before we get started, a few things we need to talk about is the activities of the week. And the best I can remember, which is kind of scary, is Tuesday night is Reach, which is middle school, high school, from 6:30 to sometime. Whenever they get home, we try to get them home by midnight. Julie, is that about? Yeah. So your kids should be home around midnight. I'm kidding. They'll get home at a reasonable time. It's a great opportunity if you've got middle school and high school kids, though. Tuesday night up here at 6:30. I'll go ahead and tell you this. Matt won't be here again. Matt leads it with the help of some other awesome, outstanding people, but Matt's not going to be here. We'll get to that in just a minute. Let me go through what we got to talk about. So we've got Reach. Wednesday night, we have adult Bible study, 6:30, Lloyd and Robin Schumann. Todd Michelle's over there, so if you got questions, you can ask Todd. Is that fair? Ask Michelle. Todd doesn't talk in public. That's Michelle won't let him. They're going, what are you talking about? There's these guys over here. Now, listen, if you got questions, if you're interested, you can see those guys, but it's an amazing time to study and just go a little deeper. It's a lot of fun. And kind of an open format in some sense. So it's just a good night. So that's Wednesday night. And then the other thing coming up is Fall Festival, October the 23rd, 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock. And that's going to be here, but across the street. Journey Church owns the property across the street. So weather permitting, we'll have some games and some food, and some fun, some fire, some s'mores, and just all kinds of fellowship. It's going to be amazing. I love those kind of events. There probably is going to be some hay rides and that kind of stuff. You want to be there. You want to just come and have fun. You also may, and after this message, you may some of you may be the half that gets mad at me, but you'll have an opportunity to sign up and volunteer. You can go online and do that, or when you leave, you can go out and talk to them about it. But it's a lot of work to pull an event like that off. But I'm just asking, if you think it'd be something you'd like to do, let us know. Because we're going to do it, weather permitting. We're going to have some fun. So that's the other thing. And then, I guess that's the only thing going on this week. So the other thing we do is, in the past, we've always passed the plates for offering. And I'll go ahead and kind of tell you and tip my hand. I don't know that we'll ever do that again. We still take up an offering, though. We have to have an offering to do the ministries that we do, to go out into the community and serve and to do the things we do here. And honestly, I'm not going to lie to you. Tammy and I like to eat, so my a little pay helps. So listen, I'm not gonna lie. It all goes into doing ministry. But thank you guys. You've been generous. But there's ways you can give without passing the plate. And I don't know. Yeah, here we go. So if you're old fashioned, I still write checks. I drop mine in the 2 little boxes right outside. But you can mail it in to 61B Sicker. You can go online to thejourney.church. You can give through our app, which I don't even know how you do that. But you can also text it to 77977. But it's amazing what I think God takes what we give, and sometimes it's a little, and He exponentially multiplies it. Because some of the things we've been able to do is just mind-boggling to me. If you would have told me a couple years ago that we would have fed Lexington Senior High and middle school kids once a month, approximately 900 kids, I'd have said, well, you're crazy. And then if you'd have told me we was going to do it in 45 minutes, I'd have said, you're absolutely crazy. But for some reason, we were able to do that in both cases. So, and hopefully we'll get back to doing that one day. I hope. We'll see. But so your offering makes things like that possible. So just thank you for your financial support. It's been amazing. It's been where we came from and where we're at today, even through a pandemic, is kind of pretty awesome. And it speaks to one thing, and that's to God. The God we serve is an amazing God who can take something small and exponentially do something amazing with it. So that's how you can give. So thank you. And we're gonna kind of jump in the message, because this one, I can make it longer, I can make it short. It's something I'm really passionate about. And actually, I'll go ahead and tell you guys this. Couldn't find my book. I couldn't find my Bible and my notes. And I thought, well, I can talk this one off the top of my head. I'll just have to do some work on the scriptures. But because it's something I'm passionate about. If you've been around me, I love the local church. I just do. I love Christ. I love my wife, and I love the local church. Those are 3 things I really love. But I love the local church, and I'm going to speak about it passionately till I die. I mean, that's kind of the plans, and I know some of you guys are going, well, we hope you leave sooner than later. We don't necessarily want you to die, but I just love the local church, and I think it deserves us to speak to it, especially when we can do it better and when we need to make some changes. But if you were with us the last 2 weeks, I'll kind of catch you up because we're going to change gears. But the last 2 weeks I talked about specifically the church and where it's at, and one of the things we talked about was the theory is it outmoded or is it old-fashioned? And my answer to that is maybe. It might be a bit old-fashioned, but that's not bad. I'm kind of old-fashioned too. I'm getting old and I'm old-fashioned. That breakfast you just ate, that's about as old-fashioned as you can get. And did anybody complain? Didn't hear anybody. Most of you loved it. So old-fashioned isn't bad. And then is it outdated? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. The local church will never be outdated for 2 reasons. One, Jesus, because Jesus loved and died for the local church, so it's never going to be outdated or obsolete. And then the other reason is because there's nothing to take its place. There's just nothing to take its place. So it'll never be obsolete. And then the third thing we talked about, and this was just, it's not my opinion, it's fact, is the local church is unstoppable. It will persist. It will survive. It will go on and on as long as there's time till Jesus comes back. So what we're going to do in the next couple of weeks is we're going to be really talking and pushing back and pushing down on the local church, because it's important and we need to do that. We need to talk about it. Because it is absolutely unstoppable. So in thinking about it, Matt and I were sitting there talking, and we came up with, we wanted to call this thing, can y'all put it up here for me? Run. And actually, we don't want to call it run. It's really not about running, because you can say, well, I'll run from the church. You can run to, or you can run from. That's not what it is at all. It's actually a play on the letters. Are you in? And that's the question for you today. Are you in the local church? And that's different than just sitting in these seats. It's a world of difference than just sitting in these seats. The deep question is, are you in? Now, the way this thing was going to work, Matt and I were going to go back and forth. I was going to do this week, Matt was going to do next, so on and so forth, because we're going to push through it for a pretty good while. Now, we've had a little change of events, and if you guys, for those of you, if you're watching online and don't know this, and some of you may not, Matt is my cohort, Matt Leonard. He co-pastors with me. Matt, this thing happened. He had a new baby. And for those of you who don't know, Emmett was born. Emmett was 9 pounds, 4 ounces, full head of hair. He's walking and got a shave last week. So, man, I'm sorry, man, but you know it's close to truth. This little fella is not a little fella, but so Emmett was born, but let me tell you the whole story, because this kind of changed the complexities of what we're doing. We knew the baby was coming. What we didn't know is when Valerie went to the hospital to give birth that she would test positive for COVID. So everything's fine. I love that. Oh, can we do that again? Oh, Matt, that was for you and Valerie. So Valerie has and had COVID. Emmett does not. Now, Elin did. Elin gave it to Matt. So Matt now has COVID. Everybody's doing well. In the meantime, it's kind of spread to their in-laws, and so So we were laughing about Elin. She's this super spreader all by herself. But no, I'm just kidding. Elin is amazing. But so there's some COVID going on. They're doing well, but it's going to keep Matt from being here. So we're going to still do the series, and we're going to still ask the question, "Are you in?" But we're going to just have to change it up a little bit how we're going to do it. So you'll probably get me another week, and then Matt maybe 2 weeks, and then we'll figure it out. But anyway, keep them in your prayers. Keep their family. Here's the hard part: they're doing well with COVID, but since Emmett has been born, they have not been together intact as a family. And that's kind of tough when you got a newborn and a mom who's sick trying to take care of him. They let mom keep the baby. So it's been tough on them, but they're troopers, and I'll just be honest, I miss them. I mean, Matt's like a son to me, and I miss him being here, and I'm praying for him, and I just ask that you guys pray for their family. And everybody else, we've got a lot of people sick right now, we really do. And and we talked about this last week, local church is a family. We're a family. We come together and we take care of our own, we lift up. We take care of people that we don't even know. But we're certainly a family. We want to take care of each other, and that's what's so important. So there's others around us who are sick. We're praying for them. First service, I saw some folks here that hadn't been here who were sick. Yeah, I think I saw yeah, that's awesome. Your dad was back. So we've had some sickness, and we've got others that are still there, but we're just praying them through this thing, and if we can reach out as a church family, we'll do that. So anyway, we're talking about this run thing, and so Matt and I are going to be switching off. But what kind of drove this thing is a couple years ago, we did a Bible book study. One of our elders taught this thing. Tom Rainier, if you don't know who Tom Rainier is, he's CEO of Lifeway, wrote this little book. It's called I Could, I Might, I Can, I Should, I Will, 9 Traits of an Outwardly Focused Christian. And we read this thing years ago. For some reason, I love to read, and I was bored, and I didn't have anything to read. And I think Tammy and I were actually going on a trip. So I stuck this in my book bag, thinking, well, I may or may not read it. Well, I got it out. And it's a small book. It's not very long. I got it out and I started reading it. And it just kind of lit me up again thinking about the local church. Because being in these seats is not being just the church. It's an outward focus. It's got to be inward as well, but there's got to be some outward focus to it. So I read this book. So I came back and I talked to Matt. I said, we got to include this in a series. So we came up with this Are You In? And we're going to kind of push through it. But Tom Rainier wrote this thing in 2015. And it's dead on. It's dead on to the local church and where we should be, and I think where we should be going. So here's what we're going to do, and I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to have to back up. We like this book so much, we want you to read it. So we're going to give you a copy of it. Now, we're going to ask a couple things. One, if you would be kind and take 1 copy per family, per household. And if you're watching online, and you can come by, we'll give you a copy as well. Hold that thought. Or you can if you can't come by, if you'll call us or send us an email, don't send them to me personally. You'll never get your book, I promise you. I'm just not that good at that sort of stuff. I'll delete you by accident. But we want to give you a copy of this book. And I was going to tell you they're right outside the door. So when you leave, stop in and get you a copy. Now, I hate to say this because it's going to kind of go against the purpose of the message. You're going to have to run because there's only 4 copies left. First service took them all. We're going to make it right, though. If you will go out there and give them your name, they're going to get you a copy. Or we will get you a copy. But I think we have 4 copies left, and we had quite a few to start with. So people listen, and they want to read this book. So I want you to have a copy of it. I really do. And I'm sorry we have run out. I should have known, but I thought I had enough, or we had enough, but we didn't. But if you'll go out there and give us your name, we're going to get you a copy. And we should have them by next Sunday easily. Now, more importantly, instead of making us send it to you, if you're here, you need to come next Sunday. And hopefully by the time I get done, you'll be convicted that you'll come next Sunday. Okay? So, but come get a copy of this. We want you to read it. Now, here's something else. And still, I would like 1 copy per household, if you will. You can pass it around your house. You can do a lot of things. But I've got, and this is, Tammy's not in here, so I can say it. She always gets nervous when I say this. If you're going to take a copy, there is a caveat. There always is, right? Yeah, there's always a caveat. I need you to write a check for $99.95 and drop it in the offering plate. I'm kidding. That was a joke. The books are free. You guys didn't laugh. First service thought it was funny. What's wrong? Y'all wake up. Now, I know the breakfast is filling, but y'all wake up. So the book is free. You get a copy of the book for free. But I have, and this is where I got to be real careful how I say, I have a big ask of you. Everybody giggles over that. I have a big, and Tammy always gets nervous. She sits over and just puts her head down. I have a big ask if you're going to get a copy of it. I need you to read it. Okay? Don't take it and put it on your, look what I got. I got a Christian book. I mean, that's our idea for something. I got a Christian book, man. I go to church. I got a Christian book. I'm all in. No, you're not. No, you're not. You got a book. Look and see how much dust it's got on it 2 weeks from now. And if it's covered, then you didn't read it. But I want you to read it. I want you to let it soak in. I want you to let it soak in because I think if you let it soak in, it's going to seep out. I really do. And for those of you who get nervous, well, we're replacing the Bible with a book called I Could, I Might, I Can, I Should, I Will. No, the Bible is central to all of this. It's central to this book. It's central to what we're going to talk about. It's central to the local church. But get a copy of it, pick it up, and read it. And read it. It speaks to the local church. And in my mind, it speaks to the local church. And I want you to sit down with your family and talk about it. I don't think there's anything better than you can do than sit down and talk with your family about two things, Jesus and the local church. I think that's critical. I think it makes us better. It builds a better, stronger family. It's statistical. I can give you statistics all day long that shows what being in a Christian family. And we're family, by the way. This is family. Man, I look around. I am so thrilled about my family. I am. I'm looking around thinking it's grown exponentially. It's more diverse than it's ever been. And hopefully it just keeps growing and keeps becoming more diverse. And it's powerful that we're family and we can come together. I love that. But pick up the book and read it. Because here's what I know. And here's where I get a little angry and a little upset. We're the church. Now, this isn't about a building. Forget the building. Building's a tool. We've talked about this. It's a pretty nice tool. It's actually a very nice tool. But it's just a tool. I'm talking about the assembly, the people sitting. That's the church. And here's where I get a little upset at myself and my leadership and where the church is at. Because we've walked around. This is before the pandemic even. We walked around and moped and groaned and complained about everything. About everything. And I'm thinking, we're the church. We're the church. The head of this church is a guy named Jesus Christ, the Son of God, the Messiah. And we're complaining that somebody don't like us. We complain about the government. We complain about this group don't like us, this group don't like us. We complain about all that. Let me tell you what, the government is not our enemy. Our enemy is a guy called Satan. He'll use anything he can. Isn't it amazing we've allowed him to do that? But we're the local church. The head of the local church is Jesus. I promise you guys, I've read the book. We are unstoppable. We need to act like it. And yeah, I love the local church, man. We need to act like we are unstoppable. That the head of this church is a guy named Jesus Christ who died on the cross for you and I. I'm going to preach a little bit. I'm going to talk a little bit. But we got to get passionate about this. But we've got to stand up for what the local church was meant to be. Pandemic has set us back a little bit, but I get that. There's some logic in that. People don't want to come out because they're scared. They're afraid of disease, and well, you're living in fear. No, you're using some common sense if that's where you're at. You're just using some common sense. But the church is unstoppable. We need to act like that. We need to quit whining and complaining. We need to stand up and be who we are. And we do that out of love, not out of anger and violence and fighting. We do it out of love. But we have nothing to back down from, guys. We are the local church. And it's powerful. So that's what we're going to talk about for several weeks. We're going to talk about the local church and how important that you and I are to the local church. We're going to talk about how important that we are and what happens when we don't carry our weight, when we don't do what we've been called to do. Now, one of the things, and I got to go, I'm already behind, but I'm sorry, I get off on some tangents on this thing because I love the local church. Anytime you're talking to the church, to the body that assembles on Sunday mornings, you've got to do it in a pretty broad stroke. Because here's what I know, here's what I've observed. Anytime we come together, whether it be online or in the body, we have new people coming in and checking us out. Every Sunday, we've been so blessed, even in the midst of the pandemic, when we opened back up, we had guests coming. That's so awesome. Love that when we have guests coming. But when you have guests coming, sometimes you don't know where they're at in their walk. We have people that's walked in these doors, they don't own a Bible and don't know who Jesus is. And I know you find that in Lexington, North Carolina, that's hard to believe, but it's the truth. We have people that have no clue. No clue. Somebody's invited them, said, you might want to check this out. There's something in it that's worth hearing. So we have that crowd coming in. You may have somebody that's new that's just been hurt by church. Something's happened in their church where they were at. A lot of us fall in that category. Something's happened that's caused us some issues, some whatever that you've pushed back and said, I got to do something different. So that's part of this new crowd that walks in the door. We don't know where they're at. We don't know what level. So we've got to build these messages where they speak to those folks. We don't ever want to include anybody. And honestly, one of the most exciting things about Sunday morning is when somebody comes in that's new and don't have a relationship with Christ. That's when game day's on. Now, I love my family, but that's part of it. If you're a follower of Christ, your game day's on too, not just mine because I'm a pastor. Our goal, our job, our goal is to direct them towards Jesus in everything we do. I was talking to a young man not long ago, and he said that exact thing. He's been coming for a while. He said, coming from a different background, he said, but from listening and learning and reading and discerning, he said, everything points back to Jesus. That's our job. So when I get excited when a new person walks in that doesn't have any concept of who Jesus is. And I don't care that they believe something or different or they don't believe at all, because that's what we're called to do. We were all broken. We were all messed up. Now, when somebody comes in that's been hurt by the church, that's okay too. I hate you got hurt by church, but we're not perfect people, so I know it happens. So we come together. So that's one group. Then we have a group that's been here for a while. They've been here. They've kicked the tires and said, I kind of like this. I think I want to hang around for a little bit and see what it's all about. I don't know exactly where I fit in and how I fit in, but I want to be a part of it. I want to see what's going on. And I love something kind of speaks to both of those groups. A guy named Andy Stanley. Some of you probably know who Andy Stanley is. He's the pastor of North Point Church in Georgia. It's really an amazing. His dad was Charles Stanley. A lot of you know who Charles Stanley is. But Andy's his son and started this church, and it's amazing. But Andy Stanley said something, and I love it as a motto for new people. He said this. He said, we plan like you've never been here. We treat you like you already belong here. So when these two groups, that's where we're at, man. We plan like you've never been here. We want to treat you well. We want to make you feel welcomed and loved and accepted. But we're gonna plan like you already belong, because that's what we're trying to do, is not get you necessarily to belong to Journey, but to belong to a guy named Jesus. So that's the second group, and then the third group are those who call this home. They've kind of settled in. Probably most of those folks have a relationship with Christ. They know where they're at. They've got their faith. They kind of know what their doctrine is, their theology, and they've settled in. They're calling this. They're saying, "I'm all in." They're kind of like the story goes when the ship sailed, maybe from Spain to Mexico. I don't know the exact history, but when they got there, the captain made them burn the ships. There is no retreat. There's that group here as well. You're in. This is your home. You've burned the ships. There is no retreat. You're here to help build Journey Church and to build a community that's focused on Christ and to reach out and to reach others. And so that's kind of the three groups we have. Now, there's all levels in each one of those groups. But so we have to kind of, these messages are kind of directional in that we have to cover every group and everybody. And when you talk about the local church, that can be kind of tough because everybody's in it at a different level. No two people in here at the same level are looking for the same things. So really when we do this, what we're trying to do is I want, you're my family. And I want my family to be as good as they can be. I want you to have the best life you can have, and I want you to help be part of something that's right and good. So we're just trying to figure out how to make the local church, how to improve it and how to make it the best local church we can be. That's what I want for my family, because when we get that part right, then my family is better. And man, I'm telling you, as I sit here and look and I think about the first service, the family is amazing. I've watched you guys. It's amazing. We've done that pretty well, but I want you to kind of think about this. Are you in as we go forward and as we talk about the local church? And here's the question, the first question I have to ask myself, and I've done this since we started this local church, since we've started something called Journey Church, is are we making a difference? Are we making a difference? Because if we're not, then what are we doing? And I can answer that in a couple ways. And one of the questions I ask with that one is if we folded up, not the building's going to be here, but if we folded up everybody inside and said, okay, we're closing the doors, we're leaving, will this community know we're gone? Because if they don't, then we didn't make a difference. If they're going, hey, what happened to that Journey Church that was here when, and they did this, then you can start saying, well, maybe we made a difference. And I can answer that for you guys, and pretty conclusively, is you've made a difference. We've made a difference. Here's the problem. We can make more of a difference, though. We can make more of a difference. But it takes us being a stronger family. But we have made a difference. Because I hear that. I know what we've done for this community. I know I've watched families in this church. I've watched broken families heal. I've watched families that didn't know they were families come together. It's been amazing. I've seen some amazing things. We've made a difference. And I started thinking about how that has impacted my life as growing up, is people pouring into your life. I mean, I bet everybody in here can think back to somebody that poured into their life that made them a better person. And I started thinking about it. I thought, okay, outside of my family, because my family was amazing, but outside of my family, who has poured into my life? Who's made me a better person? And I was blessed. I had a family that loved me and cared for me, most of them. Some of them not so much, but most of them did. But so many people poured into my life. But I thought, who really impacted my life that I can remember? And I'm going to share who they were with you, because there's an interesting characteristic to it. There's actually two. One of them I missed at first. But the people that's poured in that I really think about that have impacted my life goes all the way back to the second grade. My second grade teacher, Miss Phelps. Oh my gosh, I think she was an angel. I hated school as a kid. I was scared. I was a little bashful kid, that didn't want to talk. And I probably talked too much, but at the wrong time. And I probably was in a little bit of a troubled, I don't know. I wasn't a good, but she poured into me. She was such a great teacher. Miss Phelps. loved her. I still tell her that. And by the way, if you run into the person that's impacted your life, remind them, tell them that they did that for you. Tell them that they've impacted your life. They don't know it, and sometimes they get. I'm like this as a pastor. Sometimes I'm thinking, why do I even bother? Why do I even bother? And God's so amazing. Sometimes you get affirmation, sometimes you don't. But Miss Phelps, she was amazing. My 4th grade teacher. At that point, I'm starting to like school. I'm thinking, this is pretty awesome. This lady likes me. She wants to make me a better kid. My 4th grade teacher, Miss Skeen. Oh my gosh. She was an angel and saintly. Amazing what that lady did for my confidence. I was the little kid with zero confidence and couldn't do and didn't think I could do anything. And she made me think I could do anything I wanted to if I would set my mind to it. Miss Skeen, I love Miss Skeen. I'd like to see Miss Skeen. I hadn't seen Miss Skeen in years. If you're listening, Miss Skeen, thank you. Miss Norton. Miss Norton was my 5th grade teacher. She was pastor's wife. Unfortunately, she was Methodist. Don't take that way. No, that didn't come out right. She was Methodist, so she had to move. That's all I was going to say. They still moved them every 4 years. See, y'all's minds went all the wrong places there. Y'all's minds went all the wrong places. Miss Northington was awesome. She took what Miss Skeen and Miss Phelps had started, and she just elevated it even more. But I thought about those 3 ladies, and I thought, man, y'all poured so much into me. I'll give you one more example that has poured into my life that made me even better, and his name was Jesus. His name was Jesus. Now, what's interesting about the first 3, and really if you think about it with Jesus, is the first 3, and this is why it's so important that we do as the local church what we're called to do, is the first 3, I was just a child. I was still impressionable. You could really shape me and mold me, and these 3 ladies, they poured into me. And then I was brought up in a Christian home, so I had this Jesus guy, and he says, I'm going to pour everything into you. I'm going to pour everything into you. And then that's the characteristic I kind of missed. It was while I was a kid that these 3 teachers were shaping me and molding me and helping me build some confidence and understand who I was and what I was capable of doing. And they did it sacrificially. And that's the other characteristic. They always put others first. They always put others first. They wasn't teaching for the money. Good Lord. And I don't even need to hear you. Come on, my wife was a teacher. Listen, if they're not doing it for the money, if they're really teaching, they're not doing it for the money. They do it because they love kids. And I'm looking at some of my teachers. I know you're doing it because you love kids and you want to pour into them. And that speaks such volumes to me. And I think about they all put others first. And that's what the church has got to learn. That's the mindset we've got to have. We've got to figure out how to put others first. And this is, and a guy named Paul kind of writes about it. He talks about it in the book of Philippians. He's talking to the church at Philippi. And this is something, now think about, are you in? And then think about the local church and the power of the local church. But this is what Paul said in the book of Philippians chapter 2, verse 3 through 7. First sentence, don't be selfish. Don't try to impress others. Be humble, thinking of others as better than yourselves. And I think about Miss Phelps, Miss Skeen, and Miss Northington. And Jesus. Keep going. Don't look out only for your own interest, but take an interest in others too. You must have the same attitude that Christ Jesus had. Though he was God, he did not think of equality with God as something to cling to. Instead, he gave up his divine privileges. He took the humble position of a slave and was born as a human being when he appeared in human form. I think about Christ. He puts us all first. Broken, sinning individuals, and he puts us first. He took this form of a slave. He's God. Think about that. He didn't have to take on that image, but he chose to because he put you and I first. So what's our role as the local church? So I said, I hate to tell you there's only 4 books out there. Now, listen, if you're the one that gets one of those 4 books, you're going to say, but I got in front of such and such. I should have let them have it. We're going to get you books. So you filter out there and get your book. We're going to get you books. But we've got, and this is so powerful. Don't be selfish. Don't try to impress others. Be humble. Think of others as better than yourself. That's part of the problem. See, we're a bunch of broken people when we come together. Still a bunch of broken people. Well, I have Christ. I'm still a broken person. I'm still a broken person. This is something, when I do marriage counseling, I always share with the couple because this is so powerful and people miss this. They've been given this illusion that when 2 people come together, 2 broken people, they're going to have this perfect union. You can tell the one that's been married more than a year. Right? I mean, there ain't nothing perfect about it. It's actually compounded now. You've got 2 broken people trying to come together. So think about it now in the sense of a church. Think about it. And this church has grown. We're not as large as we were before the pandemic, but we'll be back, and then some. So you start talking about 4, 5, 6, and Lord, I think about some of these churches with thousands, and I'm thinking, so now you've got hundreds and thousands of broken people, and you're going to have a church that's in harmony all the time. It's virtually impossible. It's not virtually, it is impossible, except for one thing. We've got to put others first. We've got to put each other first. And then it balances. And then somebody's going to say, well, why should I put them first all the time? Well, think about it. Think about it. If we're doing it well and we're putting, listen, this is what he said. Don't be selfish. Don't try to impress others. Be humble, thinking of others better than yourself. Don't look out for your own interest, but take an interest in others. Think about it. So if I'm putting you first, then what should you be doing? Putting me first. And if I'm putting you first and you're putting them first and you're putting them first and it circles around, we're all of a sudden putting each other first. We're holding you in higher esteem than ourselves. It's exactly what Jesus did. Jesus didn't have to die on the cross for himself. He had to die on the cross for us. He put you and I first. That's the model of the local church. That's why I get so upset. Why can't we see this? And it's really interesting. I was talking about these three groups. Some of us that think we're the furthest along have suddenly slipped the furthest back. Because I see it all the time. We get mad if the eggs aren't scrambled the way you want, or the seats don't look like you want, or the color of the carpet's wrong, and I want it this way and I want it that way. The next thing you know, you're mad. You're going to still come, but you're mad. And we start complaining. How is that helpful? How is that beneficial when we're the hope of the world? When we're sharing the hope of the world, Jesus Christ, and we're the outreach of that. How is that helpful? How is that going to help us grow and reach others? See, I'm sorry we've done this. We've suddenly kind of messed up the local church. Because I love when I see these instructions. Rainier in this book, and this is where it's so powerful, Rainier talks about it. He said, here's the problem. We've got to quit saying, I want this, I want that. He said, we need to start saying, I will. I will. And I love it. He says, I could, I might, I can, I should. But what we need to say is, I will. I will. I will put you first. I will sacrifice this for you. I will behave. You know, we see people walking in these doors all the time. I have no clue where they're coming from. And I applaud you guys for this. That's something I think we've done a very good job. We are thrilled when somebody walks in. We don't care about the background. We don't care where they've been. Here's what we care about, where you're going. And that's where we want to help you build a relationship with Jesus Christ. But we get selfish. Have you ever noticed that? We get selfish. And when we get selfish, we start putting ourselves in front of others. There was an example in the Bible. Two of Jesus, his A guys, kind of got a little selfish and got a little uppity. And they requested to sit on the right and the left hand of Jesus when he's on the throne. And this is what Jesus responded with in Mark 10, verse 44 through 45. And whoever wants to be first among you must be the slave of everyone else. For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve others and to give his life as a ransom. Jesus came to serve. Jesus came to put you and I first. And as a church, that should be our goal, that should be our desire, is that we're always putting others first. And we're doing it in the name of Jesus. Because I'm telling you, Jesus is the hope of the world. The local church is that outreach. There's no other organization called to do that. And you can come up with your parachurch, and I've got no problem with parachurch organizations. They do some amazing things. But they typically operate out of the church. Our job is to share the hope of the world, Jesus. That is our mission. That is our job. And here's something I've noticed, and I know this to be true. It's really hard to share when you have a selfish heart. You might want to hang on to that. It's really hard to share when you have a selfish heart. If you're not willing to put others first, then you're not going to share. And what we have to share is of the utmost importance. It's Jesus Christ. That's the purpose of the local church. Now, yes, there's some other aspects to it, but when you really get right down to it, Jesus is the hope, and our purpose is to share that, Jesus Christ. And it's really hard to do with a selfish heart. It really is. So we've got to work on that. And again, Paul said this in Ephesians when it speaks to, he said, to be patient with each other, making allowances for each other's faults because of our love. Don't do it out of any obligation. Do it out of love. Remember what we read? We've talked about this. The greatest commands, love God and love each other. Can't do that with a selfish heart. I'm talking to the church now. We are the church. And if you're sitting here, I'm not talking to you as an individual, but I'm talking to you as an individual in the church. We've got to get rid of the selfish hearts. We've got to open up. We've got to be accepting. We've got to reach out. We've got to take the hope of the world out of this building. We've got to reach out. I mean, I think about this, and it's kind of gut-wrenching when I really think about a selfish heart. Because Christ went to the cross and died for you and I. Christ went to the cross and died for you and I. That was a selflessness heart. He didn't have to do that. It was the only hope we had, though. And yet we get caught up in what we want in our will and our way. Even Jesus said, "Not, Father, not my will, but your way." We need to step up. We need to take the church back to what it was made to be, meant to be. An outreach of His love, of His grace, His mercy. And listen, I have the greatest church family in the world. You guys are the best. I hope every church in the country, every pastor can say that. They would all say it. I mean it. I really believe that. You guys are amazing, but we can be better. We can be better. And we get kind of caught up, and we get a little, I'll use the word lazy sometimes. Well, I'll just come. Church becomes something we just check off. I went to church on Sunday. I got a book, and I know something about the book of Philippians, and I got a book, and check, I went to church. I did a message years ago. I did some math, and I won't try to remember exactly. But if you come to church, we talked about this a little last week. But basically, I did a shirt. I actually had a shirt print that said, "I want to be greater than point." It's less than 1%. If you come an hour and a half on Sunday, you're giving less than 1%. That fails in everything. We can do more. We can do better. Having a book, having the family. I got a family Bible. My mom and dad's got a family Bible. I found it when I was going through their stuff. That thing's that thick. Thank goodness we had Bibles we read. I don't know that one, it still crackled when you opened it up. It had never been used. But listen, we've got to be more. We need to be doing, because Christ did all the way to the cross. Christ was doing all the way to the cross for you and I, and that's so powerful. And as I started thinking about it, what will drive us as a church? What will push us forward? What will make us all in? What will make us run, R-U-N, to the local church? What will make us give more than, I'm not talking about financially necessarily, but what will make us give of our time and our resources and our talents? What will do that? And I started thinking about it. It's something I read not long ago, but it basically said this. It said, who or what is your why? Who or what is your why? And I started thinking about it. I thought, that fits, that works. Who or what is your why? Because I started thinking about Jesus going to the cross, and I was his who. I'm why he went to the cross. Guess what? You are too. Who is your why? What is your why? What's worth you going all in? And as I thought about it, I thought, there's got to be a why. There's got to be a why. Because otherwise you would serve, if it's about serving, you would serve out of obligation. And I've watched that. I've seen that model. If I conned you into serving out of obligation, you never do anything, you need to serve, that'll last not long. Not long. You'll quit. And it'll be the church's fault, by the way. And if I'm getting you to serve out of obligation, it is the church's fault. It's not the church's fault. It's Mark's fault. I'm not the church, by the way. I've been called to be the leader of this church, and that's kind of scary. But it would still be my fault. I've noticed that. And it's okay. I shoulder the burdens. And sometimes it is my fault. But I thought, it's a fair question. So who or what is your why? Why would you serve? Why would you step up? Who's worth that? Because if you serve out of gratitude, you're going to quit. What we need to do is serve out of, or if you serve out of obligation, you're going to quit. What we should do is serve out of gratitude, because I was Christ. Who? All the way to the cross. And so were you. All the way to the cross. There ain't no coming off the cross. He died on the cross. Came out of the grave, but he died on the cross. Golly, I was his who? For him dying on the cross, just like you were. So what in your life, think about this, who in your life is worth seeing you model serving and worshiping together and coming together as a church family? Who is worth that? Maybe it's a child in your family. Maybe it's somebody outside. Maybe it's something in your community. Maybe it's a what. Maybe you look at the school and say they need to see the church shining. And I want to be a part of that. I want to make this church shine. So I'm going to give my time. I'm going to give my efforts. I'm going to give my talents, my resources. Who is your why? And I want you to think about that as we go through this week. Who is your why? Because you were Christ. Who? He went to the cross for each one of us. He did not have to do that, except it was our only hope. It was our only way. And he did it sacrificially. I'm telling you, it's hard to share with a selfish heart. It's impossible. I've watched it. You can't do it. But when we come in with that mindset and we really start thinking about it, who's worth it? I think about my family. I want my family to know Christ. And I'll give everything I have to this church. And then some. And then some. Because I understand who is my why. And I have a model that I follow, and his name was Jesus. And I'm not claiming to be, and I can't be him. But I love the model. He gave everything because I was his why. And as a local church, I think we need to think the same way. We need to start modeling that. Listen, we can whine, we can moan, we can complain. I might, I can, I should, and I won't. We can do that all day long. But at the end of the day, we still live in a hurting community. Our families are broken, our community's broken. I'm older than most of you, and I tell you, I've seen some bad times. This is as bad as I've seen, not any worse necessarily. But I'm sitting there thinking, then why don't the church stand up and lead? I mean, come on, who's with me? Why don't the church stand up and lead? Why don't we show we can come together in unity? Why don't we show we can come together with something less than a selfish heart? Why don't we come thinking, I'm not going to put myself in front of you. I'm going to put you in front of myself. You're more important. Why don't we come together and do that? Why don't we stand up and be the local church? Why don't we stand up and be the local church that Christ died for? The one that he loved, that he died for. Why wouldn't we do that? Instead, we'll make excuses. Well, I've got obligations. To what? And listen, I get it. You got jobs. I get that. I know you got kids. What better thing can you commit to than the local church? I get it. We all have jobs and we have obligations. But we can still put the church in there. It's not a checkoff list. Check, I got my book. I went to church. I spent a whole hour. What do you want? No, listen, I don't. Jesus wants it all. He wants it all. He didn't die for part of you. He didn't die for an hour of your 168 hours a week. He died for all of you. And all he says is, can't you just worship me in unison? Can't you be the community I called you to be? Can't you come together as the local church? Can't you stand up and serve? Can't you make my name holy? Can't you let people know that I died for you? That you were my why? That I went to the cross for? Well, that's what we're called to do. Listen, I'm one of these. I get caught up in sometimes, well, we're getting beat up today. Heck, I do it sometimes with you guys. They won't even come to church. I'm going to still do what I do. I'm going to stand up. If there's one, I'll stand up here and do it. If there's one man, I'll stand up here and do it. Some of you do the same thing. You'll be here through thick or thin. Listen, we've got the greatest body in the world. We do. We can be better. But we've got to continue to do this. I'm telling you, it's easy to fall out of this. We've got to do it. We can't have a selfish heart. When it becomes about you and I, guess who will be left? You and I. Christ died for all of us. He did. And we need to grab hold of that. That's who the local church is. That's who we were called to be. So the question is, will you? Are you in? Will you commit to the local church? And I said this in first service. I'll say it again. There's somebody here today that may say, he's right. I need to commit. But this isn't the right church. I'm good with that. Trust me, I'm good with that. There's a bunch of churches. I think I counted 13 churches within a mile. Find one. You can't, listen, if that's your excuse, it's not a good one. There's a church around here that should fit your needs. Unless, well, I ain't going to say that. That'd get me in trouble. Wow, I'm getting wise in my old age. Sometimes. We need to commit, guys. Listen, we're going to talk about this. You're going to hear it. And I'm telling you, I love you guys. You're amazing. You're amazing. But I want the best for my family. I want the absolute best for my family. And that's, sometimes we have to push. Sometimes, I think about my earthly father, man. He wanted the best for me and my brother, and sometimes he had to push. And I'm thinking, why are you doing this? I'm okay. Because he wanted the best for us. And I want the best for this church family. But what I really want is for people to experience what we have. That's really what it's about. I want those who aren't here to experience what we have, because what we have is the love and the grace and the mercy of a guy named Jesus Christ, who is the hope of the world. And our job is to share that. Our job is to share that. So think about it. Take a book. Well, take one of the 4 copies and put your name on the list. We'll get you some more. We should have them by Sunday. I want you to have this book. I want you to read it. I want you to let it soak in. And hopefully it'll seep out. Let's pray. Father, thank you. Thank you for this day. Thank you that we can come together. We can come together in your name. And Father, just let it be that everything we do is to glorify you. Is to glorify you and lift you up. That we do it in your name and for your glory. And that we do it well, Father, that we don't do it halfway. We're all in. We're going to burn the boats. We're going to burn the boats because we're all in. And we're going to share the hope of the world, your Son, Jesus. So just be with us as we go forward. You've always been there. You've always guided us, and we trust you, Father. So just watch over us, protect us. Just help us to honor you in your name, Father. And that everything we do is to glorify you. For it's these things we pray in your holy name. Amen.
Promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, you're working. Never stop, you never stop working. Never stop, you never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. Never stop, you never stop working. You never stop, you never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. Never stop, you never stop working. Never stop, you never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. Never stop, you never stop working. Never stop. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. Oh, that's who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. Yes, you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. Yes, you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. 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 Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. 'Cause you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. Let's sing it one more time. 'Cause you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. So good, God. Thank you all for being here with us this morning. I hope you go in peace. Hope you got your stomach full this morning. So have a great week.